Welcome to Atom Software Winter 2025 release. My name is Mark Preco, President and Founder of Atom Software, and it's my pleasure to demonstrate these enhancements for you today. So you guys should have an outline in front of you. If you don't, just go up to the Help menu at the top of your Atom Software and grab one and jot some notes down as we go through it. The introduction right here at the beginning, that's just telling you the areas that we're focusing in on. And we're going to start right here with the user interface navigation enhancements. So I'm going to go ahead and remove myself here so you can see more of the screen. There we go. And a lot of these enhancements came from our user conference that we hosted in September. So I want to say thank you for those that participated and helped us out. That it was great because you could share your ideas, and it was a lot easier discussing them along with the programmer being right there. So thanks again, and I hope you enjoy them. And I mean, everybody enjoys them because they were great enhancements or suggestions. So, all right off the bat here, user interface. So we just made it a little easier for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this now. So we just have the the little eyeball icon, so now you can see the password. So we did that throughout everywhere you enter the password. So it's on the if the client's doing it on the portal, if they're doing it on the check-in screen, and of course you guys right here. So I'm going to go ahead and actually put my password in here just so I can log in. Okay, updated table layout. So the as you could see, this color scheme, it's got a different shade of blue in it just to make it a better, user interface for you guys. The tables have all been changed to. They're just rounded, just looks more, pleasing to the eye. And also, the office events right here now it's in a container. I think we just think it looks looks nicer. Um, re- we relocated and minimized the AI support bot. So now over here in the lower right hand corner, we introduced that in the last update, and we're continually feeding it with support for you guys. So you can kind of come down here, ask your question, and hopefully get your answer. And again, we're updating it continually. So if it's not here today, the answer might be here tomorrow. But anyway, that's what that's for. So it's out of the way. Hopefully it's not out of mind, because we do want you to use that because we think it'll help you guys and your employees when you have questions. Now, if you want to have a customizable one for your office, you can. You just got to contact us and let us know. So we're doing it for our tax office, so our employees can ask it questions related to our tax office, so like operating procedures or pricing, um, you name it. That's what we're putting in there. We also have one on our client portal so that our clients can ask it questions, and hopefully then they don't have to ask us questions. They can just get the answers right there and then take care of whatever they need to on the portal. So that's the plan. If you're interested, just contact Adam Support. Next, we have notifications. So date and time overrides. So right now, obviously, if you send out a notification or an email or a text, it goes out whenever you send it. Now you can override it and have it go out at whatever time you'd like. So you basically can block off like during the middle of the night if you're still working and you upload a tax return, you don't need your client to get a notification at 2 a.m. in the morning. Now you can control that. And I'm going to show you where you do that. You just go to admin and it's core configuration, communication, security, and then right here at the top. So in this example, I'm blocking off from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. Nothing will go out from Adam to the client. At 6 a.m., they'll all go out. So it doesn't matter what it is. If you're texting them, it will not go out during that block of time until until that block ends. Page 2. Excuse me. Password on the check-in system upgrade. So let's go to that real quick. All right, so on my check-in, again, for the client, they can see their password if they choose to. And let's see, multiple check-in modes override. So we introduced this last update is you can now use a QR code if the client has an appointment. they can scan that when they come in. So you have this where you have both of them selected. If you want to override and just have one machine has, say, the scanner, the barcode scanner, the other one has the manual check-in, you can do that now with these overrides. And the address, the URL address is right there. You would just change it right here. You add the equal sign, or I'm sorry, the question mark, then barcode equals 1, or camera or manual, depends on what you want. But you can control it by workstation now, or computer or tablet, whatever you choose to do. Lobby tracker, excuse me. So we made some enhancements, user enhancements for this page too. Along with that, we've added color coding to the appointment type. So the icon was there before, but now you can color code that, make it easier for you guys and your clients. Let's see, anything else on there? Oh, you just got to do it in admin for the appointment types. You can also override those too with, if you had to, on, so if you're inside the client file, in fact, I can get in here, right? Say if the client walks in, but they really should be an appointment, you can actually do that inside the file. So if I were to go into here to like John Casey and go to overview, and right here, the appointment type, this is an override to whatever is selected as a check-in, and it pops up on the lobby information page. Client portal enhancements. Again, we talked about the login password visibility. When they log in, they can see their password, so I'm not going to go into that again. The electronic signatures. If I were to come up here to get on my portal real quick, and let me go down to my documents, and then I go to 2022. And if they were e-signing using the PIN signature, now they can go ahead and click the eyeball, and they can see what they're typing. Same way with the PIN, make it easier for them. Simplified workflow. Okay, so my documents, if I go to upload a file, so we've always had the challenge where you don't want, normally we don't want to start a tax return until we have all the documents. So the clients continually upload single documents to us throughout, tax season, but we want to be notified when they've actually uploaded everything. So now we have actually a tool to allow us to do that. So when they go ahead and browse, they're going to upload a document here. Say it's a 1099-R. And if I try to upload it, it's going to give me an error message saying I have a required field. I need to tell them whether it's everything's uploaded or not. So I'm either going to say yes or no. So if I say yes, if I say no, then it just gets uploaded like normal and there's no message. I don't see the message on the other side saying that they've uploaded everything. So if I hit yes, again, it's going to upload here. Now when I go back into my file and I go down to Perm Docs, because that's where they come to. So there's my 1099-R right here, and then here's my message. Client's done uploading, we can start working on this file. So I think this is going to be a big help to streamline the workflow coming in through the portal, because we always wanted to know when we were supposed to start. And again, if they said no, then there would be no message displayed at the top. The payment page, let me get back to the portal. So if I go to my payment page, you can now eliminate the statement and the invoice, which usually was displaying in the balance column if you choose. If you don't want the client to see the details behind the balance, you can shut that off so it doesn't display on the portal, and you do that in admin. Home page, let's go to the home page. Let me close my portal here. Data management right over here. And if you guys are unfamiliar with data management, you should, at least for the productivity, so you track what people are doing, your employees are doing, and office events, you can actually track what's going on with your office events. So we use office events for like tracking who's doing the reviewing, who's doing the taxes, how many taxes they're doing, and how long does it take them to do tax returns. Anyways, but what I want to focus on right now is checklists. And if you use the checklist, which I don't think a lot of you guys do, but if you do use it, we just added some filters additional filters. So right now you can filter by checklist type. You can add that to that. And also the account user, which is usually the preparer, if it was blank, that record would not display here. It will now, it'll display now. So that was that. Now I'm going on page 3 at the top, my office events. Go back to my home page here. And let's go down to pickup e-sign. All I did here is we just changed the name. It used to say e-sign right here. Now it says account docs. The reason we did that, and I'm going to get into it a little later in this presentation, is that this was designed originally just to have, a red X if they hadn't e-signed yet and a green check if they did e-sign. Now we're going to capture and track wet signatures. So the account docs with the green and the red, like the green check will indicate, it could also indicate that they did a wet signature along with a pin signature. So that's why we changed the name to account docs. And I'm going to get into that further as we get in the presentation. Past due items highlighted in pink. If I go up to my to-dos right here, these days are beyond the due date of how long I said it should sit in here. So that's why it's highlighted in pink, just to indicate that. Improved acknowledgement visibility. Let's go down to, and this is going to be for our Drake users. So waiting IRS acts. Now we're going to give you a little more information. So in addition to the A or the R, now you're going to get the actual form type. So 1120S, 1040, some it's Michigan, or these are cities. If you have multiple states or multiple cities, you're going to see them all listed. And then one other thing that I think is going to be very nice for you, which I can't display right here, but if it's in pending status, so usually when you e-file a tax return, before you get the A, you're going to get like a P, or maybe the federal will get acknowledged right away, but your state and your city won't. And but so sometimes we're sitting out here like it's blank, so I wouldn't know if I'm supposed to get a state or a city. At least that's the way it was last year, unless I were to dig in here and check and see, well, am I still waiting for a state or city? Now it will display right here. It would be highlighted in yellow with a P indicating it's in pending status, waiting for the A code to come through, or the R, but at least you know. So you won't have to dig into the client file to actually look for those acknowledgement records. They're all going to display here, and because it'll do multiple states, which is nice too, because we didn't have that before. Let's see here, where am I at? User over, the P, okay, user overview. Display multiple assigned. So if I go to my home page here, user overview, my assigned tasks. If it's assigned to multiple users, now all the users will display who it's assigned to. Priority override. So see, we have some priorities here. If I want to clear out all the priorities at one time, I can do that now with under my actions and then override field. And I just check the box, clear priority. And of course I got to have these checked too. Filtering for faster appointments. So my assigned task, I don't know if yours was, but at least in our tax office, this was one of the slowest pages to load. Now it's it's very quick when it loads, and how we did that to improve the performance is we changed the filtering. So this used to have more filtering fields on here, and some of them were making it very slow to load. So now if you want to go to those other fields, if you need to, you're going to click on assignments with advanced filters. So if you don't see your fields right there, you need to click on that link, and then these are the additional fields that aren't loading unless you actually click on that additional link, because we felt like this wasn't really being used by many people, and if it allowed us to speed up this page, that's what we chose to do. So anyway, that's how we were able to get the better performance. Your office inbox right here. Last update, we allowed with the email, if you had multiple email addresses coming in on the two, like if the person who was sending it to you had also included another individual, when you replied to reply all, we kind of lost it. So we made that change so it would go in the CC field of the email where you're replying, but it didn't do it on the home page. So now if you were to reply to an email from the homepage here, do a reply all, it'll do everything correctly. It won't drop an email if you have multiple emails addresses. The fax, and I'm going over to our live database here. If you receive a fax, you can now include, you can make a note. So if I hit the edit pencil, I can type a note right here and then save, and then that note will display right here. Excuse me. Let's see. Number 7, search and search results enhancements. I'm done with X-Tax. I'm going to go to search. So in this, the status and the category under the recents, these are links now. So this would link directly to the status of that client file. These will link directly to the category, which is the name address page in the client file. If I switch over to favorites, we've added the category column, and again, hyperlinks in here. You can now, if you were to go into, if I go into a file, we could always search for the nickname of the primary. Now you can do a search on the nickname of the spouse right here, which, let me see, what year is that in? Maybe 25. There we go. So nickname Shorty. So we could search on that. Also, you can do a search on the email notification override right here. So if you did an email search, it would pull that one in addition to the other emails. Number 8 on page 3, calendar improvements. This was one that came from the user meeting in September. Now you can, if I go into my appointment calendar, now I can schedule an appointment from the calendar. So before we never could do that, I had to go from the client file basically, or the search results page. So if I come in here, I can just click on a, let me click on a time, and then I right click and hit new appointment. And now I'm gonna go ahead and enter my client's name. Search, Tommy Sager. It's going to default pre-fill all the information pulling from the client file. It's going to put the time in because I clicked in there. My difficulty and the duration is all pulling from the client file. The user is pulling in here because I clicked on my name. And then, of course, it'll just say if it's requested or not. And the appointment type, if it's in person, this information you still would fill out. Coming down here further, custom notification language. So in addition to the notification that goes to the client, for a confirmation and a appointment reminder that you set up an admin based on the appointment type, you can also have a unique language going to that client in addition to what automatically goes out. So if you want to say, remember to bring in social security cards. Okay, so when I send that, that's going to go out in the confirmation email and text, and also it's going to go out in the reminders. And then lastly, tag colors. If you want to make it a different color, you can do that based on the appointment type. It's all up to your choosing, and then you just would save it. And then here it is. You can move these around. So I can move it to another preparer. I can change the time if I want. If I double click it, it's going to open up my box, and I can do more edits to that if I'd like. Now, if you're scheduling and you're pulling it in from the file, because like if you're using Adam's voice system, then of course you're probably in the client file instantly, and then you just schedule from there and you pull everything forward. But when you do that, you can just click inside the calendar and it automatically will populate the preparer and the time. So you wouldn't have to go in here and select the time. You can do it from the calendar. Now to do this, all this functionality, you do have to turn it on. And then that's all done in admin. So moving on to page 4, reports and bookkeeping updates. So the report refer a friend is what it's called. Now the referee name will display even if the referral name is blank. So if your employees didn't put the person who referred them in the refer a friend pop-up box, they will still display when you run this report. The QuickBooks transactions export now include location, payment method, and account user to that report, to that export. There's a new report called bookkeeping client balance export. And you just got to make sure you turn that on in your admin report permissions. Administrative enhancements, we're on number 10 on page 4. So now when you go over the admin, as you know, you used to click on this and then you'd hover and then it would shoot all over the place and it was hard to keep track and you had to keep clicking on admin. Now, nothing, it's going to just stay. So it's going to make your life easier instead of having it always flutter or flicker, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we changed that. Advanced event status. We changed the ordering of the columns just because we know this is a very long table and we are, we're going to try to improve that. But in the meantime, what we did is we moved the columns to the left of the ones that we think get used more so you don't have to scroll as far right possibly. The majority of them probably can be handled in almost like a nice view. But that's what we did, some ordering there for the admin. Number 11, client file improvements. 11.1, interface adjustments. Let's go into a client file. Actually, I'm going to go to this one, Michigan Association of Tax Professionals. So sometimes you guys have such long names that it pushes the sidebar further to the right, and then it makes this, depends on your screen size, hard to see these. Now you can actually control it. You can shrink it or expand or whatever you want to do, but you're just going to do it that way. So now your sidebar will be this size, and that'll be this size for all your clients. So not just this one. If you want to get it back to where it was, you just click on the expand collapse, click it again, and now you're back to the size. So the way the sidebar works is it'll expand and collapse based on the longest record. So typically the longest record is the name. So it depends on what you want to do, but you can control that now. Okay. Automatic highlight for deceased taxpayers. Let me move over here back to link to this Aaron James. So the way it indicated prior, if there's a deceased taxpayer or spouse, it would highlight the birth date in red, and that meant they were deceased. Now we've made it stand out even more. So the primary or the taxpayer's name will highlight in red, indicating one of them is deceased. Now this will actually show which one right here, but then if you click on the name and address page, it's going to also highlight in red here. And again, if we had the taxpayer, the primary over here with the date of death, this would also be red. So we're trying to flag it as much as possible so you don't have an embarrassing moment with your client. Appointment type drop down added. If you're just going to add an account year from here, we've added the appointment type drop down. And the reason we did that is because we take in a lot of drop offs, so we want to track the appointment type. So as we're adding a year as it was dropped off, we would tag it as drop off. But that's why we just made it easier for us to record that, or you guys to record that. Account categories has now been added. So if you go to overview, we always had the client category, category 1 and category 2, but you guys said you wanted more categories. So now you can create as many as you want in admin, and here they are in the drop down. So if I just add another one, so whatever you want to track related to your client, you can now do that in this account categories, and it's in the overview section. But again, you have to set up your account categories first in admin before they'll display here. At the bottom here, transactions and payments. Let me switch back over here to Mr. Casey and go to my balance page. So now right here's the invoice number. We moved the column over to the left. So if you were to add another transaction, the box shouldn't block your invoice number now, so you could easily see, okay, what's the next invoice? 1002. Scroll down here. Now you could always hit set automatic invoice number. That's always been there, and that would look throughout your whole system, your whole office, to see what is the next invoice number. But anyway, that's what we did. We moved it over for you guys. Consolidated invoice option. If you want to send out a consolidated invoice to your client, you can do that now. So it'll take any, well, I'll just show you what it'll do. You go to your print, and then you go to print multi-year statement, and it's going to grab everybody that has a balance due that's linked to this client, both by year and by if it's a linked client. So here's their balance. I can uncheck if I don't want it to be included in the statement. I just hit generate statement, and then here's my statement right here. So from here, I can print it, mail it, send it as an email, however, put it in the portal, whatever you want to do. But that's how you can get a consolidated statement. All right, CSV export improvements. So right here under actions, you can export to QuickBooks. There was an issue whenever we did the export, the modified by would change to that person's name who did the export. It won't do that anymore. Now it's gonna go ahead and keep the person who recorded the transaction, because that was causing some problems when you guys were trying to balance your books. Page 5, Atom Pay updates. We just changed the wording from ACH to e-check for the payment method that gets recorded here. If somebody pays by using their bank account, it'll be recorded as like an payment method as like an e-check. Surcharge has been now changed to convenience fee. And that should be across the board, even your past ones. So right down here, it'll say convenience fee, just to make sure we're in compliance with some of the states that don't allow surcharges to be added. But they do allow convenience fees. So we just figure across the board, we'll just make it convenience fee. And it says that also on the portal. The virtual payment attributed to the actual user, not check-in. So if you were to record a payment, a virtual payment here from inside the file, and you go ahead and hit next and actually process the payment, it was putting the user as like self check-in. That's kind of like our default user in the system, as opposed to the person who actually actually is initiating the payment. It won't do it now. It'll actually put the right person's name in there. There's a new virtual payment page if you haven't seen it yet. So if I go to the virtual payment and I hit next, looks pretty nice. Even looks better on the phone. So it's going to have here, this is, it's got my convenience fee in here. So there's the breakout. They can see it right here. It says if it's it'll be removed if it's a debit card, if you're just doing the surcharge or convenience fee. I shouldn't say surcharge anymore. And now we changed the name. It did say ACH up here. Now it says bank. Make it more user friendly for your clients to understand. And that is it for the payment. But you guys should see this already. You should have had this probably about a month or so ago. I think they did this update. The P1 terminal, if you guys are using one of the terminals to process your in-person transactions, which make things pretty easy and seamless. The default receipt, so if I were to come back in here and I say terminal payment and I hit send payment, whoops, sorry, device, right here, this receipt. So based on whatever you select, the next time you go to this page, it'll be exactly what you just selected. That will become your default before it was resetting back to not the default. Timeout extended. So if you needed your terminals page to display longer, like the fee and the payment, if you're trying to run out to a vehicle or something, it can be extended from 35 seconds up to 90 seconds, but you have to tell us you want to do that. So either contact Adam Support or contact Echelon directly, and they actually have to do that through your iPOS portal. You're not able to do it yourself. Account docs. So at the bottom of page 5 here, file preview. Let me go into 2025 for Casey. And right here I have an Excel file. when I click on to do the preview, before it would just say preview up here. It wouldn't actually list the file name. Now it lists the file name. So if you have multiple files up here, instead of just seeing preview in your tabs, now you're actually going to see the file name up here and make it easier for you. And then for your Excel spreadsheets, the tabs at the bottom were not displaying, they're getting cut off. Now they will display. So typically when people send you an Excel spreadsheet, they'll have, income on one, expenses on another. So we want to make sure we don't miss that. So now you won't have to worry about that when you're doing the preview. Merge PDF documents. So if you want to merge all your PDF documents into one file. So when they send you 20 PDFs and you just want that to be one, either to prepare the tax return to make it easier so you just scroll through, or when you're done and your reviewer, make it easier on your reviewer, but you can do that. So how you do that is just check the boxes you want to merge. You go to actions and then you hit merge PDF. And then it created it right here. And this is what it did. It just went ahead and put them all into one PDF. Now it has to be a PDF. So if it's a JPEG or an Excel spreadsheet, it's not going to merge those. They're just merging the PDFs. And so in this example, I could have uploaded this PDF, dragged and dropped it, and I could delete these because I wouldn't need them, or if you want to keep them, whatever you want to do. But anyway, I think it's a pretty nice feature to help you guys manage your documents. A new green signed icon for wet signatures. We kind of touched base on this in the beginning. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to capture, let me switch over here to like 24. So in this example, in 24, I have the green check. So you guys that have been using the e-signature, PIN signature, you're accustomed to this green check. So now it's going to, we can use that green check both for wet signatures and for e-sign signatures. So it's kind of nice to look on the sidebar here. Again, it's to give you a lot of information about your client so you can easily see you've got the signed document. So how we do that is, let me go back to 25. So say I'm working on a tax return for a client in person. They sign right in front of me. I scan, I upload it. So I've created this upload type called signature doc signed. And then in admin, in my upload types admin, there's a checkbox I just have to turn on that I want the green check icon to display if I'm using this upload type. So if I do not set that up in admin, it will not display. It's not automatic. And then I save it. And then now I have the green check right there. So that's indicating that I have a signature. And I don't care if it's a wet signature or an e-sign signature. I have the signature, so I know I can move it to the next step. Just a nice way to be able to manage your documents is what it's all designed to do. Moving on to the last page, page 6, eDocs. So we introduced eDocs on the last update. So at that point, we pointed out it wasn't complete. There were still features we had to add to make it work, but we wanted to introduce it to you guys to get used to it so that, you're better equipped come tax season. So now we've added those features that are needed. And here they are. Let me introduce them to you right now. So if I go back to, what year am I going to go to? 20. Oh, actually, first let's go to poll. So to indicate if you don't have eDocs turned on, you haven't told us that you want eDocs, you're going to see it here, and it's going to be shaded in gray. And of course, if you then click on it, it's going to give you all the benefits of, using eDocuments. And of course, we're going to do that in our tax office this year. We're not using the PIN signature. I mean, we could use it, which we've been using for years. It's just, as you probably know, the clients sometimes struggle. Some don't struggle, some do struggle, but we found by using eDocs that it's been a smoother process, that our clients don't seem to struggle because it's pretty straightforward. They're signing a document just like they do all the time with DocuSign, or so it's very universal that people are using this functionality where the PIN signature wasn't quite as common, and that's probably why they struggled. So we are going to, in our tax office, we're going to use eDocs, and we've already probably signed about at least, I don't know, 40, and we have no issues. So that's going to cut down on our workload on the other side, where they call up or they message us and say, hey, can you reset the PIN or something? So hopefully that's going to take care of that. But anyway, that's my sales pitch on eDocs. But let me show you kind of the new features that we've added since the last release. Let me go to 23. So now it's organized by account year. So it was organized by client file, but we've discovered it was better to be organized by account year, kind of like how your account docs are. So if I'm in 23 here, of course, this means it's been signed. That hasn't changed. When I come here to create my custom client document, which is going to be basically my 8879, you just hit upload type, you select the upload type, and I'm not going to do a training video right now. We did a lot of this stuff in the last update. We do have a lot of training videos and helps out there for you. So it's, once you do it, a couple of them, it's not a problem, but you do need to learn how to do this. So what we've added is now you can have your spouse, so you can have second party signatures, so you can have more than one signature on the tax or on the 8879. Or, I mean, you don't have to just use this for 8879. You can use it for anything. And then if you need to have the KVA validation, which you should be doing for 8879s, you just check this box, and then that'll set it up. So on the client side in the portal, what they're going to validate their identity, one, they have to log into the portal just like normal. So username and password, they need to know something. And then they're going to get a multi-factor authentication code sent to their cell phone or their email. So whichever one you want, by text or by email. That's what this is doing right here. They get the code, they come back, and then they enter it in, and then it works. It works really nice. I mean, I can go ahead and, well, we have the videos on how it works. So, but like I said, we've already been testing it, and the clients have not struggled at all with it. Next is the text message log. So there was an issue if you tried to send an attachment to your clients from the client file, both the spouse and the taxpayer at the same time, the attachment did not go out to the spouse. That's been fixed. Copy attachments. I think you guys will like this. So if I go to my my text down here, so if a client texts in some documents to me, pictures of items, so if I click on this, it's just a picture of my screen. If I check these boxes here and I want to, because typically what I normally would do is I would, save this to a file folder on my workstation, and then I upload it into my account uploads. So it's a little time consuming. So now I can just check the boxes. I hit actions and I hit copy attachments to account docs. I get to pick which one. So if I'm going to do it to my, I got a lot of things linked here. So if I do John Casey 2025, I select the upload type, reviewer docs, and I hit copy. And now you notice it didn't close these out or anything, because I still might want to reply to John. So I still would check the box to close these out. But now if I go to my account docs for 2025, and here they are right here. So I just moved them up here. So it's a good way of moving the attachments, because as you know, those attachments are stored in Twilio, and they're only stored for about 6 months or less. So if you ever have a document or something that they sent you, your client sent you, you want to store permanently, you want to move it to your account uploads. Fix for outgoing email issues. I guess there was we had an issue sometimes where the outgoing email got blocked or stopped for some of you guys. So that's been fixed. And that is it for our winter release. So I appreciate all the enhancements you guys shared with us. And again, thank you for those that attended the user conference, and I hope others will come next fall. We're going to do it again, and it's great because we're all together and the programmer is there, so we can get feedback right away, and then that's why a lot of these changes came from. So thank you again for your support, and I hope you guys have a great and profitable tax season.